Hello, everybody. Matt Thomas here from the Altitude Group at Compass. Brian Dewald is our mortgage lender here, and he is with Dewald and Associates, Fairway Independent Mortgage. And I wanted to just jump right into it, Brian. As we know, we cover what's going on in the mortgage world every week. Why don't you tell us the latest and greatest?
This last week has been relatively kind to us, which means we haven't seen any increases. It's been a weird sort of a run since we updated last week. It's such an odd time where sometimes the market opens up in the red and then shortly thereafter turns into the black. It's kind of an odd thing. I think we saw it 4 times last week, and I've already seen it once or twice this week. So it's just a goofy. Luckily, the swings aren't real heavy, right? So if we start 10 basis points negative, we turn 18 basis points positive, which isn't a huge amount, but it's just kind of an interesting turn of events that quickly throughout the day. So, and I know we've talked about this before, but it's literally every day new prices come out for mortgages. So,
sure.
For whatever that's worth, it's something different every day lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was going to say, over an overall picture, like at a glance from over the last 7 days, the market's been relatively flat. There hasn't been a huge swing up or down, which is, always good news in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I agree. Again, that's the whole reason we're doing this, is to make sure that people understand rates fluctuate so much, and it just is super imperative to stay connected to to a resource like this. So, not to toot our own horns, but these things are moving, and if you want to stay, you don't want to miss the boat. Now, Brian, actually, we were talking a little bit about, in fact, you said that you did another video. Maybe we can send that out to the viewers, and we can kind of cross-reference here. But you've come out with a video introducing some of the reasons that it's a phenomenal time to buy, with one exception maybe being the rates that are fluctuating. But other than that, lots of good reasons to buy, and presents this scenario of if the rates were to fall, as everyone hopes, and everything else is so primed to buy, we're going to see competition again. We're going to see inventory disappear again, right? So it'll go back to the springtime conditions. So tell us more about what kind of points you hit on there.
So, just a couple of ideas, right? Right now, I honestly believe that it's the easiest time and probably one of the better times to buy a house over the last 3 years or so. There's a lot more to pick from. I've had a lot of folks that I'm talking to that just closed on a house 6, 12, 18 months ago. They're already thinking about selling, believe it or not.
Wow.
It just wasn't the house for them. So I feel like they were settling. I think right now you've got a better opportunity to buy a better house than you did a few months ago. A couple
Agreed.
of huge factors in terms of money is that, we're not having to overpay substantially. Maybe in a competitive situation, there's still some of those where there's some competition with other folks, but it's not nearly like it was, a while back, 3 or 4 months ago. So I think that's a big advantage. We're seeing some deals come with concessions from the sellers, right? Some help with closing costs. We're seeing inspection items being fixed. We're seeing just lots of different things where it's just better for buyers right now than it has been in the past. So.
Yeah, you're right. These prices that were set, these high water marks that were set this spring, where people were bidding crazy amounts of money over the asking price, having to guarantee the difference through an appraisal gap coverage or some type of a guarantee that they bring the extra cash and make up the difference. Now those prices have stabilized or stopped growing. Even sometimes they're kind of cooling, but that means that that price is sort of already baked into there, and nobody's having to really compete strongly. Where you're having to go above and beyond the list price in a lot of cases. Now, I just actually had a situation this weekend where we did have some more hyper local competition, right? I could recognize that the house was priced to sell, and I knew that there'd be probably multiple people interested in it, and sure enough, there were multiple offers turned in. And Brian, you've got a product that we introduced kind of during the springtime, and I want to kind of re-talk about that because this would set somebody up to really be in a great position if the market was competitive. And even if it's not competitive, it's just going to make you look stronger. Maybe, this program in particular makes you look so good that you can get some of those concessions or some of those things that you want the seller to help you out with from an inspection standpoint, because the rest of your financing looks phenomenal, right? So tell us about your sort of same as cash program.
Yeah, so we call it the Fairway Cash Guarantee. There's an actual addendum that gets filled out. We go through the gamut from an underwriting perspective to make sure that buyers from a buyer standpoint, in terms of loan conditions, are all cleared by an underwriter. It's super cool. It makes it so that when we go to put an offer on a house, we can do one of two things. If we don't close the loan due to anything on the financing side, even if somebody gets fired, then we will do one of two things. We will either pay cash for the house to the seller, up to $1 million, or we'll just give the seller $10,000 to terminate the deal and just walk away. So it's a really aggressive way to do it. And even if we don't need it, the whole point is to be able to close loans efficiently, right? Like, we've not had to do any of this yet. The other thing that's really neat about it is that it does put us in a position to be a little bit more competitive, but additionally, it just makes the process go so much better for buyers. All of the underwriting is done already. I'm talking everything from you name it, right? We're just looking for title and insurance and an appraisal potentially. So it just makes the process lightning fast.
It really takes the guesswork away from the seller. The seller, in most cases, they're just looking for peace of mind, right? So they just want to know, okay, if I sign up and I got to wait for 30 days or, your typical amount of time in escrow, is this thing going to actually happen, right? And this is basically a guarantee that it's happening, right? Everything is done and ready to go for these buyers. And so the sellers really can feel good about it. Now, if you're a buyer, you want the seller to feel good about that. And again, that's just going to make everything go more smoothly. And then, to me, that's like the dream transaction. And you guys are able to present that. And then why wouldn't the seller want that? Why wouldn't a buyer want that? It's advantageous to both. So it's really a tremendous program. They can contact you immediately. Obviously, you can reach out to me. If you meet me first, I'm going to tell you to talk to Brian about this program. And there's no extra cost or anything else like that, right, Brian?
Just going to add, it doesn't cost a nickel for any of it. It's a superb program.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Yeah, there's nothing for anybody to worry about. It's just an extra feature that you just sort of get, right? Like, so, your rates don't go up, your price isn't, your fees aren't any different. It's just a better sort of way to prepare for to buy a house and have that qualification ready to go so that you can absolutely slam dunk a house that you're looking for.
It's all the same stuff we're going to go through whether or not we're under contract or not. We're just doing it way early in the process to get it done. So just thought I'd add.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, to me, it's just it's how mortgages ought to be. And I think there's a lot of sellers who don't understand, well, it says they're pre-approved. Why are we still having to hash out some things during this process? Well, this is essentially that. This is saying, guess what? We're gonna be able to close, unless something wild were to change, we're closing this. And so again, it's peace of mind for both parties, and everyone's just going, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. It's what you would hope that any loan would be. Essentially, I say I can do it, and I'm going to be able to do it. There aren't any questions at that point. So, yeah. Awesome stuff, Brian. Well, let's continue to watch the market, watch the rates. Tune in here, obviously, to continue to do that. Stay away from the scaremongering and the news. The news is a lot of times it's behind. They're reacting to information that we already know in this industry, and then they're going to twist it and turn it so it turns into clickbait or watchbait, if you will. But stay tuned here to make sure that you have the latest and greatest information for mortgages, and obviously that cuts into real estate. So we'll keep you posted on it all, right? So anyway. All right, Brian, I really appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to chatting next week.